2016 Hot 6 GSL Season 2 Code S.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the GSL Code S. We are back in town. The boys are back in town.
We
just got back from StarCraft Summit.
Hey, there we are.
There we are.
Make sure you're looking at Geary while we talk, all right?
That's right.
So how are you doing,
We worship you, Giant Geary. She's gonna crush us. Yeah, we were in LA. We just got back last night.
That's right.
Very good to be back home again. And I think we got some fantastic games here today. When we were gone, the results not too shocking.
No, it was pretty much what you would expect. Every Terran so far going right through, no problem.
Oh, the weather report! I love it. I love it.
It's a little bit cloudy for Protoss, but Zerg's with a high chance of rain.
For Zerg's, it's the apocalypse.
Didn't you know rain is just when God cries?
That's
okay,
right.
and this is what's happening to the Zerg players right now.
That's interesting. I didn't know we were going to be doing that. That's cool.
Yeah,
we made some changes since we were gone. Small changes, so I like that a lot.
It is a very sunny day for the Terrans, though, but will it continue tonight? We have Tasia and Maru both in this group. Tasia definitely not favored to make it out of here alive.
So we've got two TVZs for you guys tonight. Tasia versus Ragnarok and Maru versus Sue. I'm especially looking forward to Maru versus Sue. I think I was supposed to win that, but I could be wrong. Sue's pretty tenacious.
You know, we did have that little bit of a buff, and you know, a lot of Maru's play is on harassment, so definitely that could help out with the Queens, the Spore Crawlers, and in stopping some of that. But Maru, like, this is a very important day for Maru. Every day of GSL this season is more important for Maru than
got a lot right
anyone else in here except for maybe SOS. These two are not anywhere near qualifying for BlizzCon. They need finals minimum to really have a shot. So,
well, if there are two people that could get to the finals, it would be those two.
I know, right? Yeah. Wouldn't that be the sickest thing ever?
I'm sure a lot of our viewers are very excited to see Tasia play here tonight.
Yeah.
Is he a favorite against Ragnarok? What do you think?
No, I put him as one of the lowest ranked players
my
here.
instinct says that he should be the favorite, but then where was he really winning? It was outside of Korea. That was a different level of competition. It's obviously much higher over here. Ragnarok, somebody who's having a lot of success at the start of Legacy of the Void.
Yeah.
Although I think people kind of caught up with how to play the game, and he's kind of out of the orbit of the upper sphere of players.
Tasia had a really good season last season, which was very surprising, especially considering he looked like really bad. I believe it was like Code A, and the round of 32, it was like, well, I mean, this guy shouldn't be round of 60. But you know, he did a good job then, and had that deep run and all. But it's been such a long time now where this guy doesn't have a team. Does he have the motivation? We know he's going to retire soon, even though he's been talking about retiring, you know, for about 25 years.
Well, there are pro gamers that do that, where they just talk about retiring forever and don't do it. But he never did his compulsory military service, right? So it's going to have to, he's going to have to do that. Just so you guys know, all able-bodied Korean men have to do 2 years of military service, and that's usually it's the expiration date on the heart of your esports or pro gaming career, not esports career, but pro gaming career. You can't really go and be in the military and out of the loop for that long and come back. And you can compete, and people have done that, but you can't win. That hasn't happened.
Pretty much. It's not likely that we'll see a return to at least StarCraft or RTS Pro Gaming from Tasia, but we'll see how he does tonight, I guess.
Let's take a look at an interview from our players before we start our matches tonight.
괜찮게 나온 것 같아요. 마음은 되진 않는데 그래도 올라갈 만한 것 같아요.
왜 하필 조성주가 왜 저희저에 있나 그런 생각을 했습니다.
일단 추하게 지지는 않을 것 같아서 다행이에요. 테란데 저그전이 좀 쉽다 하더라고요.
일단 토스가 없어서 되게 좋다고 생각했는데 올라가야 될 것 같아요.
김정우 선수 이길 것 같아요.
이영서 선수는 이제 성적이 안 좋으셔서 은퇴를 했다고 들었는데 아무래도 은퇴한 선수는 이겨야 되지 않을까 싶고
저그는 이길 수 있을 것 같아요.
토스만 아니면 다 괜찮을 것 같아요. 80% 정도 되는 것 같아요.
2위 생각하고 있습니다.
열심히 준비하고 있기 때문에 조심스럽게 1등을 노려보고 있습니다.
저 그냥 32강에서 떨어질 것 같아요.
은퇴하신 걸로 아는데 저도 열심히 하고 있고 은퇴하셨어도 열심히 준비하셔서 좋은 경기 했으면 좋겠습니다.
재밌게 하셨으면 좋겠습니다.
성주야 요새 테란이 좋아서 좀 어깨가 좀 깊이 솟은 것 같은데 한번 T1 적을 그 기세를 꺾일 때가 되지 않았나 기다리고 있었어요.
이번 예선에서도 제가 이겼는데 본선에서 제가 이기도록 하겠습니다. 규리 누나 제가 좀 인터뷰를 못해가지고 많이 힘드셨을 텐데 이번에는 많이 하도록 하겠습니다.
Well, we know one thing to look forward to tonight, Artosis, is Maru attempting to not disappoint Yuri by giving longer, better answers.
Yeah.
Now, that might be the biggest challenge for him in this entire group.
You could be right about that.
I mean, I know that, Sue and Maru, that's a tough match. Getting out first, that's tough. But Maru giving a good interview with meat and bones in it.
Wouldn't that be weird? What would that even...
To the greatest interviewer of all time, Yuri.
The greatest of all time.
The pressure is on.
What's better than Barbara Walters, you would say?
That's right.
Wow.
She's like code B of interviews compared to Yuri.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you on that, Tasteless. But yeah, it's a funny group, right? Tasia, formerly one of the best players in the world, a great champion, but really kind of at the very end of his career right now. Maru, this guy has to win. He has to get out of this group if he wants to go to BlizzCon. And let's not forget Sue. Like, we don't really talk about him right now that much.
Yeah,
but
he's a little bit overshadowed by some of these other players that are out there.
Isn't that weird? Because he's one of the most decorated Zergs of all time. 4 GSLs in a row in the finals. It's like, what? No one will ever do that again. No one will ever do it again. It just won't happen.
It's kind of crazy, man. That Tasia is somebody who's had almost more success than anybody overseas in non-Korean tournaments. Very dominant, winning a lot of championships, but the competition is higher, it is tougher over here in South Korea, so it's going to be interesting to see how he does. I'm expecting him to not get out of the group today.
Yeah. I'm expecting like a Sue plus Maru advancement.
I think that's what is supposed to happen.
You never know. There are possibilities of upsets. Like the thing is, Tasia, like he's probably looking at like, okay, this is it. Like I'm not going for the next GSL next year. So he might be like unbelievably relaxed and play really well because of that. And if Tasia has an on game, he can absolutely kill both these Zergs.
Yeah, sometimes when there's no pressure at all, that's when your best games come out. Because it doesn't really matter. If you win, great, more power to you. If you lose, that's what everybody was expecting. And you kind of, he even said in his interview, he kind of knew that his competition was pretty fierce in this group. Ragnarok, like we were saying earlier, this guy had a lot of success at the start of Legacy of the Void. He's always been around. He's a very solid Zerg. But I think he's a little bit overshadowed by other Zergs too.
Ragnarok, this is kind of funny. I was just looking at his age and I was kind of like, wow, he's 20. He was 2 when StarCraft came out, Tasteless. He was 2 years old. Still wore diapers.
Wow. That
Still wore
is so
diapers,
weird.
but guess what, Tasteless? He will destroy you 5-0 right now, Tasteless. Go sit in the booth.
I go and I get wrecked by him. You're like, I told you, Tasteless. I'm like, I think that's what everybody expected, Artosis. I think that's what everybody saw coming. So, map 1's going to be Frozen Temple. Map 2, Dust Towers. Map 3, if we get to that, it'll be GSL Rakshir.
That's right. GSL Judgment. Not expecting to see that till the round of 8. Or maybe like a ZVZ in the round of 16, something like that. We'll see. But, alright, looks like it's about time for the 2 underdogs to go at it, see what type of shape Tasia's in, guys. Spread the word. GSL Codas is on.
That's right.
That's pretty important.
We're back in town. Happy to be back here. Cast this for you guys. And, it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out. This is a very important match for these two because you really want to get to the winner's match and at least have another opportunity to try again if you lose in the winner's match. Going to the loser's match for either of these guys, I think, means certain death. Anyways, our countdown started. This is game number 1 in the best of 3. Tasia versus Ragnarok in the GSL Codas. in the bottom right in the blue.
Teja.
And in the upper left in the red, our Zerg player.
CJ Entis. Ragnarok.
Excellent. Excellent pose by Ragnarok there. Alrighty. Let's see what these guys have prepared.
It's kind of cool. We got a wall in here on the low ground. We actually don't see that almost ever.
That's very, very true. But Ragnarok is an aggressive, kind of cheesy player at times. So maybe this is a cool move to just instantly have a wall in for your expansion.
Seems like if you got a player who's maybe not totally prepared. We got Terran's shirt over here.
That is an excellent shirt.
That's an excellent shirt. I want to know where you get that. Where do you get that? Oh, I guess we'll never know.
He was wearing earbuds, right? He's going to have to tell us afterwards.
I don't know. We better. We'll hunt him down.
Yeah.
So, like I was saying earlier, a lot of times if the player is either underprepared or maybe feels vastly outmatched, you see aggression. And I think Teja knows kind of where he is right now in the current pantheon of StarCraft 2 players.
Yeah.
And I think you guys identified a great way to play this. Now, I don't think this is going to go bode well for Teja if he's already going to have to play like this and he's going to have to play against Sue later.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean by this, but this is Frozen Temple, 3 racks Reaper with this wall in. I kind of like the strategy choice overall. If he micros really well, he might be able to kill him. And, you know, it's a super dangerous strategy. So, like, Sue is going to have to play defensively watching this match. If he has to hit Teja, he's going to have to look at this and say, okay, this is, you know, he's not screwing around here. This is a strong build.
Now, remember, when you're doing a strat like this, guys, you got to be careful because if you actually start to, if you don't do enough damage with the Reapers, you've made no Marines the whole game. Reapers don't really have equity past the first few minutes of the game.
Yeah.
So it's very important you really cripple the Zerg, and so far Ragnarok's got pretty spot-on micro, already getting that Roach Warren. And this is going to be pretty critical because Zerg can counterattack with this.
Yeah, that is a possibility. But with 3 racks Reaper, if he makes them nonstop and loses none, you can control like the map really well against a lot of Roaches because they're kind of slow off creep. You know that you can throw your grenades down and
you can pin Zerg into his base pretty easily.
Yeah. So I mean, the Roach Warren, obviously it's a good choice for him to get. He kind of realizes that this is a very aggressive Reaper play, but you know, Teja, if he micros just perfect here. You know, I think he's all right.
All right, so we got 4 Reapers now. More reinforcements on the way. And he's actually going to get this Queen down here. Look at this. Nice play.
Yeah, he's starting to gain some serious value right now. Throwing down quite a few grenades as well. Getting that extra damage. I love that he sniped that creep tumor. Really messes up Roaches and Queens going down there to defend.
Now, the problem is head-on, the Reapers have a hard time facing the Roaches.
Yeah.
Now, with Speedlings over here, he actually might get a pretty good surround. Take out these Reapers. Looks like we have, 4 kills now. 2 Reapers on the run. They're going to try to jump up to safety.
I feel like that's the end of the rush.
Yeah.
That was, like, too good of a surround. And this is where you see the difference between, like, top 5-ish Terran in the world and what Teja's done here. Like, if you watch, like, a Bjorn or I think I recall Alive doing it really well recently, where it was like, okay, they try to surround with Lings, and the grenades just pop everything, but the Reapers live. And the very, very best Terrans in the world right now can pull that off. Unfortunately, Teja hasn't gotten the damage he needs with this.
Well, he's still got these Reapers out here. So, you know, their function does change after you lose that initial amount, and Zerg starts to solidify, you know, the early mid-game here. They then are used to try to counterattack if the Zerg does leave. But you got to be careful. Again, remember, guys, the Achilles heel of this strategy for Terran is that you were not making Marines. So Zerg has already made a bunch of stuff. And, you know, he's got the Lings, he's got the Ravagers. He can make more Roaches if he wants. And Terran is just sort of behind in that whole infantry game. And I don't really count Reapers as infantry. It's with StarCraft 2. I think of Marines and Marauders more like that because they are more core units.
You know what's kind of interesting about this from Teja is almost always when you see something like this where they get a really late command center, they'll just grab 2 command centers immediately. But he's gone straight into tech and stim. So that's like actually pretty different from what we normally see after something like a 3-Rax Reaper or a double proxy Rax Marine, or any sort of early game Terran rush. So he's going to have more units than maybe Ragnarok is expecting.
Yeah, this could work out pretty nicely. Ragnarok does have the luxury of being able to scout this if he wants. We do have medevac coming up here, so we may have some harass occurring.
Some good defense going on. These Reapers really not able to find any sorts of damage. Not really any scouting either, right? He's not even able to find anything. But Tasia with the move out, he's about to have stim done.
I'm really curious to see how this rush does. Okay, Zerg knows now, so we immediately see roaches begin to produce. 4 banelings being morphed. A very important scout there by Ragnarok to identify, okay, he is in fact going to come in here and try to attack me. So let's see, does Terran commit to this? I would be a little bit uneasy if I was Tasia here.
Yeah, this is not a lot of units from Tasia, but I love this type of move right here. Look at that, 3 Reapers going to that main mineral line.
Now that actually might make the push work.
Yeah, like as long as he gets some sort of damage somewhere. And hey, the Reapers are actually doing a pretty good job so far.
Oh, but he's going to be able to cut him off at the pass here.
Yeah.
Okay, immediately takes that out. Terran going to try to rush in here. We don't see any Corrosive Bile shot just yet. Now when the Lings and Banelings get down here, that's going to be the real test. Corrosive Bile shot there, takes out the tank.
Targeting down the Banelings. Very good micro there by Tasia.
Yeah, that was actually very impressive.
This early stim maybe catching Ragnarok just slightly off guard. I think he has enough. He shouldn't take too much damage, but he's lost quite a few units.
Okay, so Tasia's just barely hanging on here with this rush. I don't know if he's going to be able to get in there and actually do any more damage. He may want to turn around.
Yeah, he's started his upgrades. He doesn't have his combat shields quite yet. Does have a 3rd base on the way, so he might want to keep on a little bit of pressure while he secures it, but I don't think that this is going anywhere.
I don't see this closing the game out.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't think he can afford to lose it to any medevacs or tanks at this point in time. It's very important he keeps that around. We've got a drop coming up over here. It has been spotted. Is Ragnarok going to be able to respond in time?
He's sending some units up right now, but, Tasia just kind of needs to keep him busy. If he picks off a unit here and there, a drone here and there, that's kind of all right. It's not like he's really going to take too much damage. But, Ragnarok is doing well. He's kind of held on against everything. The Reapers didn't do that much damage. The push didn't do that much damage. He's taken his 4th base. His upgrades are on par with where Terrans are. I do like the position here of Ragnarok.
Yeah, Ragnarok seems to be in fine shape. Although I got to say, Tasia's style of play, this game is pretty cool.
Yeah, I like how he's trying to go about this. Like, it hasn't quite worked out yet. It seems like, obviously when the Lings surrounded his Reapers, that's where it started to go wrong. But, these little pressures he's been doing haven't been that bad. He hasn't really lost too many units doing them.
And he's definitely not overextended either. I don't know if this is like the best build for Terran ever, but I think it's probably the best build for Tasia in this situation, given the perhaps the skill gap here.
Well, he's continuing to try to do something here. A couple tank-backs and some Marines hitting this 4th base. If he can kill the 4th, that really puts him into a much better spot in this game. Will he be able to actually finish it off, though?
He does drive him out. Hatchery remains. If that hatchery is solo, he's going to have to be really hyper vigilant at the top center area of the map, because just a drop with a few Marines could stim and absolutely kill that. Now, of course, Terran has to be careful not to overextend there, because that's also an easy way for Terran to end up throwing this game.
Yeah, if you try to suicide on a hatchery like that and you don't get it, that's going to be very rough. He hasn't lost very much doing that much damage to it, though.
Everybody's had a game, whether it's a Nexus, a hatchery, or command center, you're like, oh my god, it's so low, and you start to just right-click on it, and you don't actually get it.
It's generally a Nexus. That's the way it feels.
Yeah, that's what it feels like whenever I'm playing. Looks like Corrosive Biles are connecting down there.
Not the best micro. Losing a couple siege tanks immediately here, despite having plenty of medevacs.
Yeah, he doesn't quite seem to have the finesse to actually pick those tanks up and run away in time. Nice little Ling counterattack over here. Is there an opening? Is there anywhere he can actually go? Note that Zerg is at 170 supply and is going to be maxing out very quickly here. And, again, like we've been saying the whole time, when Terran does commit to that Reaper opening, the infantry is, count is always inherently behind. Same with the tank and medevac count. So Zerg can really get a lot of muscle on the map and fight the Terran back quite often.
And he's pushing back very strongly right now. Now, I think Tasia has enough that he probably won't die to this if he gets his tanks into a good defensive spot, but he's losing a lot of units here. His micro hasn't been that great this game.
Kind of an odd drop here as well, dropping the tanks next to the Ravagers. mean, the sheer number of units that were there when he dropped the tanks, that's just like not a good sign. You know? You basically never, ever do that. Now, this counterattack here by Ragnarok might be the nail in the coffin. We're going to have to see. He has Liberators, but there's already enough Ravagers. I don't really know if Liberation Zones are going to be a factor at all.
I mean, they're pretty good with tanks in conjunction with tanks or whatever. But like, he has to just sit back and turtle at this point. Like, he doesn't really have much of an army. He's lost a lot of siege tanks. To be perfectly honest, his tank back micro was really, really lacking this game so far. And the fact that he didn't kill that poor hatchery, like,
by the way, check out this base in the upper right. We might not get a chance to highlight this otherwise, but he is expanding to the very upper right corner. And I don't know if Terran's ever going to go over that. Oh, that is so funny.
Wow.
That is, what am I even seeing?
This is such a cool move.
Look at this guy.
Yeah, you don't really see that every day.
Scumbag Zerg.
Look how many creep tumors you put down, too.
Yeah. I saw those queens in that Overlord earlier, and I was wondering what the story was with that, but I didn't.
I was like, are those emergency transfusion or something?
That's what I thought. Maybe he just has extra queens and wants to like do some kind of transfuse timing. But
well, bringing around queens in Overlord like that, I think that's like a really old TLO move or something like that. You know,
probably.
It's a really cool move if you actually start throwing creep up all around the map, but you have to have some pretty insane multitasking APM to make that work out.
Well, the expansion of the upper right was denied. You can see trying to preempt the movement of the medevac to have those vials connect there.
This is really cool. I'm so glad that he's doing that move.
Yeah, like really makes me think.
Yeah, it's been around for a long time, but no one uses it. Well, it's like, you can look at that. He's got creep down in this part of the map. That's great for scouting. That's great for later game. Like, that makes you feel safe as a Zerg having anything down there.
It seems like it's it really is like a very high APM intensive way of playing the game. Like, you definitely have to be on top of everything or your macro would falter. I do think, by the way, Zerg's about to attack in here from the top. He has the Ultimus out here. And that, I don't know what that was. Looks like there was a bad rally there. That was kind of funny looking. So is he going to commit here? Yes, he is. He's going to come in here. He's got Infestors. It's not the best army formation. The Corrosive Vials are going to come down here, actually hitting some of his Ultras there as well.
Quite a nice fungal does go off. Run some Lings in towards this fourth base once again. Ragnarok's really been on top of harassing that over there, so that's quite nice. And hits a third as well. Doesn't look like he'll get too much done there, though.
You know, you can see that he's really beginning to wear Tasia down here. Now, I got to say, he really needs to fix that rally, by the way. I think he might have been able to end the game even a little bit quicker here had he done that. And in fact, with this arc, there might just be enough with Stim. Now, maybe I spoke too soon, actually. The fungals are pretty good back there.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot left,
that's it.
All right.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, well played by Ragnarok. Tasia's micro definitely was not where it needed to be. If he had, like, top micro like he used to, maybe the Reapers do more damage, stay alive for that first round. You know, maybe he picks up his tank backs a bit better. Maybe he can pick off the hatchery on the fourth base. But a lot of things didn't go well for Tasia there.
Well, that was a good game. The results were, you know, to be expected. I got to say, though, I think Tasia did give us a good game. Yeah. He's definitely not in bad shape.
No, he's playing well. Like,
I'm curious how he would do if he played more standard.
Well, you know, we'll see on Dusk Towers, because if he does another like 3-Rex Reaper or something, that's very telling, whereas this is the map where you're going to see more long macro standard games anyways.
All right, guys, we're going into Dusk Towers in just a moment here. Tell your friends to join us. This is the GSL Code S, the oldest English casted esports tournament of all time. Still here, still going strong, as we go into game number 2 with Tasia versus Ragnarok.
Tasia.
There he is. Drink it in, nerds. In the upper left, in the red, our Zerg player.
CJ enters. Ragnarok.
Thanks for coming down here, guys.
Is that a good
Enjoy
muffin?
that. Is that a muffin? A cupcake?
Yeah, that's a muffin for sure. Well, it could be a cupcake, but you know, it's in like a muffin wrapper.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, so like that, we just can't tell because he's already eaten the top of it. Like, isn't a muffin just a cupcake without frosting?
I think a muffin is just a really bad cupcake, if I understand correctly.
It's like a cupcake trying to pretend that it's healthy.
Yeah.
But it doesn't taste as good as the cupcake, right? Well, if it's a blueberry muffin...
Have you ever craved a muffin in your whole life?
You know the little tiny blueberry muffins that come in a little plastic bag?
You know, blueberry muffins are okay, right?
Yeah. I could crave some of those. But like a regular muffin? No. No, never. If I see a muffin somewhere, I don't pick it up. I don't buy it. But
yeah, when I'm at like the buffet at the breakfast place at the hotel, I'm not like.
But to be honest,
I'm not like,
if you're walking around outside the studio, there is a place that sells muffins, but there's almost no takeout food around the studio that you could pick up easily.
That's true.
So I think this guy has an out for that muffin.
Okay, that's fair.
I think we got to
you got to get some carbs in your body. And stay focused for the hours of GSL that you're going to have coming up. Let's talk about this game here. I'm sorry, what was the exact build?
Looks like it's a Reaper Expand CC Factory.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, and just regular, like completely standard from Ragnarok expansion and getting speed immediately. So, very standard openers overall.
Well, I'm curious to see how Tej will do in a more standard game because his pushes were actually quite good, but he kind of put himself in a bit of a disadvantage by doing that Reaper pressure. He didn't really kill any drones there. I think he killed like one queen and obviously a couple of lings, but it's not that big of a deal.
No.
I think maybe if we had like I said, a more ordinary opener where he actually got the stem, got Medivacs, just focused on pushing and being somewhat conservative with Medivacs, not overextending and dropping and losing all of his stuff, he might just be able to beat Ragnarok in a straight-up game.
Maybe. And this would be the map where he would show us that. And with that third command center, it definitely looks like a macro-based build. Ragnarok is not really a slouch, though. He cheesed so much in the beginning of the year. I think a lot of people discounted him as just like, oh, this is the cheese Zerg now that Shine is the observer for GSL. This is the guy. But... I don't think that that's necessarily true. He was using a lot of cheese, and it was actually very effective. He took down Innovation. He took down some pretty key Pro League matches.
He saw a great Nidus Worm exploit.
Yeah.
And I actually don't blame him at all for using that.
Yeah.
That's, completely fine.
But he's played some very solid macro games as well, so...
All right, well, we see a Roach Warren coming up here. Zerg is going to be getting the Medivac. We can assume this is going to be a Widow Mine drop.
Yeah, 2-base lair with the Nidus Worm drop. He's like, well,
look at this, going back to your roots.
Be Innovation with this in January. Maybe I can beat Tasia in July. Both Terrans, both months start with J. It's the same map.
What was it Tyrion Lannister said? Know who you are and wear your Nidus rushes as armor. Jon Snow.
That took me a moment.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, he blasted right by that Overlord. So, I think this is pretty basic.
Man,
just go for it.
See that either,
he's not going to have anything over here.
Oh, jeez. Right. Look, he knows exactly where the shadows are in that base.
Yeah,
he knows every combination of shadows that can happen on Dusk Towers.
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
Well, this is bad news for Tasia. Oh,
okay,
man.
He's going to go for the Tech Lab and the Reactor. It's bad, guys. It's bad. But you know what? This is a great win. He's going to get right on top of the production. This drop, not doing anything.
No.
He's been zoned out. Now the tank is actually rushing back here, but I think the Roaches, the Roaches could just get by those SCVs.
Quite do it.
And so, there it is. GG. All right, that had a lot to say there. If you're dropping and you don't have anything in your base, that Nidus is going to work quite nicely. I feel like Ragnarok did not have to expose too much of his play there.
No.
So I don't think Maro really had much opportunities to
He's not going to do that against Maro on that map. I don't think they hit.
Yeah. So nicely done there by Ragnarok.
Yeah, he definitely deserves the victory. Unfortunately, Tasia got a little bit greedy in that game and completely was unready in every way for this build, which is antiquated right now as far as Legacy of the Void goes. No one's really doing that against Terran. So kind of mixing that in as Ragnarok right now to try to avoid showing Maru things he might actually use. Because I don't think he'll use that against Maru. Especially that Maru saw that now. It's like, well...
No, I don't think... even though he's done that a lot in the past, I don't think you actually do that twice in a group like this. But that's fine. He probably has a better normal play style to deliver there. Yeah. We're going to go to a short break. When we come back, the match we've all been waiting for, it's going to be Maro against Sue in tonight's GSL Code S.
맑고 깨끗한 칠성 사이다.
짬뽕이네. 와, 맛있는 거. 근데 어디서 시킨 거예요? 그거 시킨 거 아닌데. 오뚜기 볶음 진짬뽕인데. 오뚜기 볶음 진짬뽕. 볶음 뜬 짬뽕. 볶음 뜬 짬뽕. 와, 정말로 화끈하네. 볶음 진짬뽕 외에는 절대 현혹되지 마소.